What's going on, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what might be going on if you're not selling books as quickly as you wanted to. And this comes from actually a Bookmine user, Gail. Awesome gal. She's been with Bookmine for a few months now. She's also been part of the A2A Masterclass, and you can actually see the screenshot that she sent me. She started back here in September of last year, and you can see her sales have steadily been growing, did really well in May, and then all of a sudden she's been dropping off a little bit. And she asked me, well, Joji, what's going on? So, by the way, sorry, a couple of videos haven't been coming out. I've been in Italy and in Switzerland over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll show some B-roll here so you can see some of the awesome videos I've been taking. But I've been spending time with my friends, my family away, and it's been awesome. I have a little break from teaching, but then also just a little break from Amazon and YouTube. But in any case, I'm here on vacation, still wanting to film a video because this is a really important topic, right? Let's say your books are not selling as quickly as you'll like them to. Well, what's going on? So what I'm going to do is go over a checklist of a lot of things that could be going wrong, and the goal is to help you sell more books. So with that said, let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing that we should look at is, well, how many books do you actually have for sale on Amazon? The reason why I say that is because you have to be realistic with yourself. If you have only one book for sale on Amazon, it could take you forever to sell that book. But if you have 1,000 books or 2,000 books on Amazon, then obviously it's going to, you're going to have a lot more opportunities to sell books. Obviously, the more books you have in inventory, the more likely it is that you'll sell books. So you have to be realistic with yourself. If you have 100 books in inventory and I have 2,500 books in inventory, there's no way that you would be able to think that you could sell nearly as many as I could, right? So really take a deep dive, go to your manage inventory page and go to active and see how many active listings you have. Okay, so what you do to see that is come up to the top left where there's three little lines, and you go to inventory and go to manage inventory. And once you're at the manage inventory page, what you want to do is actually click on the active button here. And it's going to show you how many active listings do you have. So right now I have 2,754 active listings. That's a lot of books. You might only have 30. You might have 100. You might have 500. The point is, how many books do you have in inventory? Generally, I sell about 0.5% of my inventory per day. So that means if you have 100 books listed on Amazon, then I would expect to sell a book every other day. If you have, 1,000 books in inventory, then you'd expect to sell about 5 books a day. And that's, again, my model, just me, right? So other people can be completely different. If you're like Victor Gallegos, who does a lot of seasonal books, then it could be different. If you're somebody who sells books that are not long tail, it could be different. But for me, it's about 0.5% per day. A lot of people might be 1% per day, but somewhere in the 0.5% to 1.5% is probably kind of what's normal for a bookseller. Now, the second most important thing is to check to see if you're buy box eligible. So if you didn't know this, when you go to a product listing on Amazon, books have, or any product has a buy box. That's a very easy way for someone to just buy a book, buy it now, easily check out. And especially if you're a newer seller, you might not have buy box eligibility. You might not be what's called the featured offer eligible. And so what I want you to do is, again, go to your manage inventory page and see, are you actually eligible? Or is there a yes in this feature offered eligible, spot? And by the way, you might see sometimes where there's a line. That's because this particular book, you'll see it's actually reserved, which means it's being transferred from, one fulfillment center to another, or it's being received. So it's not actually quite active yet. It's not actually live on Amazon yet. But for every other book that actually has a 1 or 2 or 3 or any other number that's not 0, you can see that I'm buy box eligible on all those. And so what that means is, if you were to actually go to the product listing on Amazon, you would, if you have a competitive price, you actually could potentially show up in the buy box. And that's huge. If you're buy box eligible, you will sell more books, because most customers, when they look at a product listing, are only ever going to see what's in the buy box. Yes, some people will actually click on the used and new offers and go through the sellers and say, hey, I want this seller. But the majority of people don't do that. Majority of people will just go to the buy box and press buy it now and check out. So if you're not buy box eligible, that could be a reason why you have slow sales. And that's kind of the hard thing about when you start selling on Amazon, is you're not buy box eligible, because Amazon needs to make sure that you're not somebody who's scamming people, make sure that you're a legitimate seller. And so ironically, the only way for you to get buy box eligible to sell more books is to actually just sell more books. So that just means making sure you're competitive on your pricing, adding more books into your inventory. You will sell more if you add more books to your inventory. Eventually you'll become buy box eligible. But if it says no, then we have to figure out, well, why are you not buy box eligible? In most cases, It's because you're not selling enough books. And all you need to do is start selling more books. So that means you might need to go back into your inventory and make sure that the books that you have listed are actually, competitively priced. And while we're on the managed inventory price, let's go to the third reason why you might have really slow book sales is your offers might not actually be active yet. So, you might just be a little bit impatient. You just send your first shipment to Amazon and you're noticing a bunch of these where it says 0 and you click it and it says reserve. You just need to be patient. The books haven't actually become live, available for sale on Amazon, meaning a customer cannot actually see it on the listing anywhere. And you're just gonna have to wait. And I know it sucks. It might take, a couple weeks. It might take a couple days. Who knows? It might take up to a couple weeks for that to actually be active, where people can then see it on Amazon and then buy it. But just make sure that your books are actually active. Now, the next thing that you should really look at to determine if you really have low book sales, one of those reasons could be you're just not pricing the books correctly. So what I would highly recommend is, I've got a couple of awesome Keepa resources on my channel, like Keepa tutorials. Go through those free Keepa tutorials to figure out what you should be pricing a book at, right? You have no business, I'm sorry if this is harsh, but you have no business being a bookseller if you don't know how to price your books. At the end of the day, we're booksellers, we're not book collectors. You need to know, hey, this particular book that I bought for 30, does it sell for 50 to 60? Does it sell for 70 to 80? Does it sell for 80 to 100? Does it sell for 120 to 140? You have to know that. And you do that by analyzing Keepa graphs. And what I can say is, it's very difficult in the beginning because it's, Keepa's a new software to you. Reading charts is very analytical. But as you experience and do this more and more and more, you'll find it's actually becomes easier over time, just like anything in life. The other thing is, I do also have the A2A Masterclass, which is, a fast track way for you if you just want everything that I've laid out in many, many videos, over 100 videos. I have the A2A Masterclass as well. That's also there if you want to make sure that you fast track your success. But in any case, you want to make sure you're pricing your books realistically. And again, I have tons of free Keepa videos, Keepa tutorials on my YouTube channel, even on the BookMine YouTube channel through the BookMine Academy. There's tons of resources there for you to price books. But for example, you can see this particular book, $79.99. This is on the lowest price. Did I actually price that correctly? I don't know. I have to, open the book up and make sure that it's priced correctly. But the point of this is, let's say you're trying to sell a book for $80. Well, if it's never sold for $80, then you're probably never going to sell the book. But, on the other hand, if it sells between 40 and 50 and it's done that repeatedly in the past, and then you list it for $49.99 or $45, it's probably going to sell. So one reason why you might not be selling books is because you're not pricing the book correctly. Is you have a book that people want, but you're charging a price that people don't want to buy it for. Like, for example, let's just go a really simple analogy. Everyone probably buys milk and eggs. Well, there's a certain price that people want to pay for milk and eggs. If you price milk and eggs at $30 a gallon, for milk, or $50 for a dozen eggs, no one's going to buy it. There's tons of demand for those products, but not at those prices. So you need to understand, what is your book actually worth, and make sure that you're pricing it appropriately so that people can actually buy it. And just to add on to that, one thing that you should be looking at in Be Cool is make sure that your max prices are not too high. So if you're using Repricer like Be Cool, I've got videos on the YouTube channel about how to use Be Cool. It's Repricer. You don't have to use Be Cool. I just use Be Cool. If your max price is too high and you use my rules, your price of your book might sit at that max price for a long time. And what that can mean is, if you put your max price too high where it's unreasonable, it just might sit there forever. And here's a great example of a book that even I made a mistake on. Legend of the Fall, 1979. It's a really old book. I bought this book on May 26th of 2023. That's over a year ago, everyone. And I bought it for $24.71. And it looks like I sold it here for a total of $93.54. And you're like, wow, that's awesome. I put $93.54 in here, and I also changed the storage months, the storage to a year. We made a $45 profit, and that's great, but that still took over a year to sell. What the heck happened? Well, you just take a quick look at the Keepa chart, and you can see over the last year, the used price has been hanging around right around 58 to 60. Yet I sold mine for 90. I sold my book for like 40, $35, $40 over intrinsic value. So one of the reasons why it took that book so long to sell is because I was priced too high. And if we come down here and we look at our profit rule, if we look at our, Be Cool integrates with SellRamp. I had a video that just dropped not too long ago about that. You can actually see that I have my mid and max price set for 70 to 120. So I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I mean, 120, I don't know why I'm that high. I must have seen something in the past, in the last 3,800 days. It looks like potentially there's been sales up in the 80s, but 120 is way too high. of a max price for this book. So what I would need to do is actually update this. And again, I can update this because of the seller amp Be Cool integration. So I actually have 2 copies of this. One just sold, but I have another copy. So what would be more reasonable? Well, I mean, it looks like this book's selling in the 50s. So we'll say min price 55, max price 69.99. I mean, think about it. Which of those books is going to sell faster? Is it the one that it's going to be listed as high as $70 at the most, or the one that could be listed up to $120? I mean, just using our logic here, we know that the cheaper the price of a book, the more likely someone's going to buy that book if there is demand for the book, right? So just go make sure that your max prices and Be Cool aren't too high and your book isn't sitting in, some place where no one's going to buy the book. Now, the next reason, I've already lost count, the next reason why you might not be selling books is you might not really understand what kind of books you're buying. There's seasonal books that are supposed to sell at a specific period of time. For example, if you're buying books for college textbook season, which is generally January and August, you should really only expect the majority of the books to sell January and August, meaning if you're buying books here in, let's say, June or July, and you're wondering, why am I not selling anything in June and July? It's because textbooks don't generally sell until August. Or if you're buying a bunch of textbooks in October, November, and you don't have any sales, well, the books you're buying before textbook season in January. So understand, are you buying seasonal books? If you're buying seasonal books, then this book should sell at a specific time. So you might have really low sales in the off season and then have awesome sales when the actual season comes around. The other aspect of this is, are you selling books that move quickly, that have really, really great sales ranks, really low sales ranks that move multiple times every day or every month? Or are you selling very long tail books? If you're buying a book that only sells a few times a year, then, and that's all of your inventory, like your entire inventory is just long tail books, then you should probably expect to be closer to that 0.5% per day, or maybe even less than that in terms of inventory turnover every day. So just understand that the types of books you're selling, you need to understand, because that gives you a better expectations for how many books you should be selling. And the point is, if you're somebody who's buying a lot of books that move quickly and you're only selling 0.5% per day, then I would be actually pretty worried. But if you're somebody who's got a lot of long tail books like I do, and you're selling 0.5% per day, it's probably not bad at all, especially if you have great ROI, great margin on those books. Okay, another reason why you might not be selling books is because your books might be sitting in high pricing error. If the book is sitting in a high pricing error, then Amazon has told you, hey, your book, this price that you're charging is too high. We're not going to show this to any Amazon customer because we think you're price gouging. Or maybe not that. Maybe they just think you made a mistake and they still don't want the customer to perceive that you are price gouging. So an easy way to do that is, again, go to inventory. So again, top 3 lines at the top left, go to inventory, manage inventory. And then you'll see some books might actually be inactive. See how under the status, this says inactive, this says inactive, and look at the price, $199.99. This says potential high pricing error. What's happened is, if you're using a prep center, your prep center, like let's say Central Virginia Prep, that's the prep center I use. Awesome prep center. I've got a YouTube video with Shanna Mann, the owner of Central Virginia Prep. You can watch a full 1 hour long interview with her. Awesome. A person runs an amazing prep center company. But the point is, your prep center is going to receive your books and then ship them to an Amazon warehouse for you. They don't do pricing. That's not their job. Their job is to get your books to the Amazon warehouse. Your job and our job is to price the books. All they do is put in a default placeholder of $199.99. What that means is, a lot of books, because they're not worth that or generally don't sell for that much, will be hit with a high pricing error, which means that the book is actually not active on Amazon because of the fact that there's a high pricing error. And the easiest way you can see whether or not you have books that could be available on the marketplace but are not is, you could just go ahead and click inactive and then scroll down until you see a book that says inactive, potential high pricing error, but also has a 1 or a 2 or a 3 to indicate that you have the book available, but that it's actually not live on Amazon. So here's an example of a book, Jig and Fixture Handbook. You can see that there's one available. I have it priced at $89, but it's not shown on Amazon. This is a book that's just sitting in an Amazon warehouse that could be live for sale on Amazon. That's not live because my price is too high. If you've got a ton of those books on Amazon, then that's why you're not selling any books, because your books are not being shown to any customers because you're pricing too high. So make sure you go back into your inventory, make sure you get rid of those high pricing errors. By the way, if you're like, how the heck do I fix high pricing errors? Victor Gallegos and I made an awesome video over on Bookmine. That's our secondary YouTube channel. By the way, this video is sponsored by Bookmine, the most powerful online book arbitrage software that Victor Gallegos and I made together. We've got a lot of members and a lot of people are really finding it helpful. But we have a YouTube channel there. Posted this video a few weeks ago. It's got 300 views. It's an hour-long recorded session on how to fix high pricing errors on Amazon. So we think that it's very valuable, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. But make sure you fix your high pricing errors. That will definitely increase your sales because, again, logically think about it. If your book becomes active on Amazon and people could buy it, then you're going to get more sales, right? Now, this video is getting way too long, but we'll go over one more really important thing, and that is, do you have any inventory that is actually stranded? And what that means is, for whatever reason, you have a book that got returned and it's stranded, or let's say you have a book that's been in high pricing error for a long time and you've ignored it. I do, I'll admit it, I don't do a great job of this, but I still have tons of products in Amazon just because I buy a bunch of books, but I'm not the best at it either. But let's say you have books that are, stranded. Well, fix those books that are stranded that are not live for sale on Amazon, and you'll sell more books. So the way that you do that is pretty simple. So essentially, you just go back to your Amazon Seller Central homepage, and you'll see that here under Actions, you have FB inventory with active offers or without active offers. There you go. You have 444 total stranded units. 330 of them have been stranded for 15 days or longer. That's a major red flag. And you might look at mine and go, geez, Joji, why do you have so many books that are stranded? And I'll be honest with you, I'm not the best at doing this because I'm doing a lot of things and I need to get better at it. But look, for example, here's a book, The New York Times, The Complete Front. This book is at $199, right? It says return to seller, auto removal date, July 4th. Today is July 4th here in Italy. So it's actually July 3rd right now. And what I'm going to need to do is these first few books here that are going to be returned to me in the next 4 or 5 days, I just need to price them. I'm way behind on pricing. But the point is, if I don't reprice those, well, the point is, one, these books are not active. I mean, they are available for sale. Well, I should say they could be available for sale, but they're not because they're in a high pricing error. You can see that the reason over here, the stranded reason says potential high pricing error. Some other reasons might be that you're restricted, you're gated, you can't sell the book. In any case, it's stranded, and you want to make sure that if it's stranded, to fix it. So you'd have to edit this price, get out of the high pricing error. Again, go watch that video on how to fix high pricing errors, but then you'd be good to go, and you can get rid of all these. Now, what I will say, this is really important. Notice that under auto removal date, this says not disposal, it says return to seller. If it says disposal, that means Amazon's going to get rid of your book. That means they're either going to liquidate it or they're just going to put it in a pallet, and then there's going to be some other YouTuber that says, oh, I bought a pallet on Amazon of returns or whatever. And then they're going to find this awesome book that you should have sold, that has a lot of value, but you just weren't paying attention. I've done that, I'm not here to say that I'm perfect. I will tell you that I've done that multiple times, or books when I didn't have my removal settings set up properly, and I've probably hundreds of dollars worth of books have been put into those pallets where I've been liquidated and I didn't get anything for that. And again, that's no one's fault but my own fault. And I just, maybe just another side note here. Remember, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect bookseller either. I've got a ton going on. I'm a father. I'm a husband. Up until recently, I was still a high school teacher. Now I'm on vacation now. But the point is, I'm just trying to help you all out and be as, transparent as I can. Like, these are books that are going to be returned to me if I don't do something. So after this video, even though it's 12:36 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to have to go make sure I fix these so that they don't get returned to me. But if you want another video, this is an important video on how to change these settings so that your books don't get automatically disposed of. They actually get returned to you or to your prep center. Then let me know down in the comments section below, and I can make it another video, and hopefully that'll be helpful to you. All right, everyone. So I really hope that this helped. Again, Gail is an awesome person. She's a BookMind member, and she reached out and said, hey, I've got awesome sales up until June, and then it just fell off the cliff. What the heck's going on? Well, Gail and anyone else out there that's experiencing something similar, go through that checklist of things. Also know that some months just aren't as good as others. For example, every single year I sell the fewest and the least amount of revenue in February. Why? It's just the slowest month for me based on my business model. So hope this video is really helpful to you. Again, check out BookMind. You get a free trial to it. Check out the 828 Masterclass. Awesome Masterclass. Gail's gone through it. She said it's awesome as well. You can actually see in the email, she said, signed up for your course, Joji, which was great. So you can get a little bit of her saying that it's good. But in any case, really hope everyone's doing well. I'm just really enjoying summer and enjoying the break from teaching and just enjoying life right now. So yeah, hope everyone has a great day. See you in the next one. Goodbye.